It's easier to live in peace, as it were, but to be the one making the peace happen is a difficult work. Number one, it requires forgiveness. If you're going to make peace, you need to learn how to forgive. Forgiveness is more difficult than what you just say. It requires you, while your heart is hurting, knowing that you have been offended, to still say, I let go. Now, don't misunderstand. Forgiveness does not mean that I will be vulnerable for you to wound me the second time. But it means that going forward, I will not treat you based on what you did to me the previous time. I hope you understand that. It doesn't mean I will be stupid enough for you to hurt me the second time. But it means that going forward, I will not treat you necessarily as a result of what you did. Peacemaking requires forgiveness. Your friend has hurt you. And think about it. Friends hurt each other a lot. You need to learn how to forgive. I read an article this last week. Actually, it was on Facebook. I don't know if some of you saw it. A woman was going through stuff here in Nigeria with a man. They had 3 children, but they were not married officially. They were living together, had children, so they were married kind of, but they had not done anything. Not traditional, not courts, nothing. A friend, a very good friend as it were, who they had lost touch, came around, they got talking, and then our friend promised to help her travel abroad. So this woman said, instead of helping me, help my husband, so that when he gets there and he settles down, he can take all of us. So the lady agreed. The lady was single. The help that was asked for required a friend living abroad to legally marry her husband. Are you getting it? So that they travel together as a couple. And the expectation is that after some time, they will divorce. And then the man will come and carry his family. Okay, some of you are saying how already. Looks like Nollywood story. But I saw it on Facebook. She put a picture of the man and the picture of her friend, and was begging the whole world. Went viral, a lot of people commented. So, what's the remaining part of the story? They traveled. Actually, she helped the husband. The husband traveled. And the husband was sending money home. In fact, he sent a lot of money, built a house in the wife's name, started a business for her, until one day she heard that actually her friend and her husband already had 2 children together. And the way it was looking like, they were not willing to separate as planned. So she came online to ask people that they should help her friend to leave her husband alone. So, as you can expect, there are quite a lot of views about the situation. Some people believed that she has been settled, that the man actually tried to settle her. Said she didn't know that it was settlement payment. They built a house in your name, bought a car in your name, everything, your name. They said she was even lucky that some men would not bother to do all of those things, that they will be gone. Why did I bring that story up? Now the woman is hot. What happens if she was a Christian? Let me start by saying there were things she did that a believer is not expected to do. Right? You don't run your life on self-management. You don't do those kind of things. And I know some of you are seated here today who, if there's pressure, you don't mind making those moves. A believer doesn't do those kind of things. Traveling is not the end of your life. You achieve the traveling, then what next? Let's even say this woman, let's say she wasn't born again and now she gets born again. How does she go about it? With her friend. It's difficult sometimes to forgive. Or imagine, some years ago, I was in River State in one of the communities, and we were preaching the word. And after the service, I remember a young boy came to see me. And he said, Pastor, you spoke about Jesus as though it was simple. I said, is that simple? It's not as if it was simple. It is that simple. Then he began to paint a scenario. He said, look at me. This boy will be around 20. I think it was around 20 or so then. He said he had killed in that community. He had killed in that community. And many of the people he had rendered orphans know him. And they know he was the killer. It was his group. He said, and they were looking for him, that if he dared travel out of that community, it will be a problem. So I said to him, well, with all you have done, you can still receive Jesus. I know what Jesus can do for you. But receiving Jesus does not mean that the consequences of what you have done will be gone. Right? This for this guy. What if I was talking to the people who lost their parents? We'll be talking about making peace, and forgiveness is not always easy. But in the midst of all of that, we are still asked to make peace. We are still asked to forgive. I know of people, and some of them may be in church this morning, who are not in talking terms with their parents. And you're seated in church this morning, you don't talk to him. You don't wish him happy Father's Day. You don't wish him happy birthday on his birthday. Why? Because he hurt you some years ago. Well, this morning Jesus is saying to you, make peace. Not receive peace. It's easy to receive peace. It's more difficult to make peace. But he says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Psalm 34 and in verse 14. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. Sometimes peace will be difficult to find. Pursue it. Don't forget, one key element, as I mentioned, is forgiveness. And it doesn't mean that you place yourself in a position of vulnerability again. No. But it just means that between you and I have let go of the hurt. I have let go of the wound. I have let go of whatever was the consequence of what you did to me. Seek peace. Forgive. Learn to forgive. Your friend hurt you. Your friend said what? Forgive. Reach out to them. Except if they have specifically said you should not reach out to them. And in that case, let them know that with you, you don't hold any grudge against them. You don't hold any issue against them. Even if the reason for your not talking is them. Say, I do not hold any grudge with you, but I respect your opinion. I respect your choice. Forgiveness is a major player. And God is talking to somebody this morning. Forgive. Whatever was done against you, forgive. Forgiveness can come with a remembrance of what happened. And sometimes you may need to cry. But forgive. I pray for you this morning that the Lord will heal your heart.